of hungry people may reach to up to 840 million by 2030. And this hunger index will be calculated based on the different factors. Generally, they will take the children of the age of 5 and they will see the different parameters, like one is the undernutrition, child wasting, child stunting, and child mortality rates. Based on this one, this hunger index will be calculated. And if you see the global hunger index, in 2018, the Indian rank was 103. And in 2022, its rank is 107 out of 121 countries. It means that the small children under the age of 5, they are not getting the sufficient food. They are not getting the quality food. They are not getting the nutritional food. Their growth is limited. Their weight is less. And that's why this, in the case of the global hunger index, our rank is so high. And to reduce all these things, what we had to do is we had to give a lot of care in the case of the post-harvest either operations or the machineries, by which we can reduce the losses and the food security we can increase. And here you can see the different figures. If you see the first figure, you can see that a lady is dumping a lot of fruits and vegetables. Most probably, all those fruits and vegetables, they might not have stored properly, and as they have rotten, just she is throwing it out. And similarly, you can see in the second figure, you can see a lot of food is just throwing out. Maybe in the marriage parties or in the hotels, a lot of food is wasted. And here, the food loss and the food waste, these two are the barriers to the poverty reduction. And coming to the post-harvest food loss components, mainly we can classify it into 3 categories. Like one is the quantitative food loss, second one is the qualitative food loss, and the third one is the food waste. Coming to the quantitative food loss, say for example, you might have stored some 100 tons of the grains. After 5 or 6 months, when you will visit, the same 100 tons may not be available. Maybe only 95 tons may be available. The 5 tons might have lost due to the rats might have consumed certain quantity. And the other one is the qualitative loss. In the case of the qualitative loss, whatever the grains that you are storing it, if they might not have stored in a proper go down where the walls may be completely wetted, in such cases, the moisture migration will be there, the grains will be, the quality will be completely deteriorated. And just now I told about the food waste. And these are the 3 parameters where we are losing either in the quantitative wise or the qualitative wise or the food waste. And here you can see that how the grains are, we are losing it. In the first figure, if you'll see, that is the paddy crop, where it is supposed to be in the harvesting stage. Exactly at that time, certain birds will come and they will start eating those grains. And the second one, you can see that the farmers, just after spending some 6 or 7 months for the crop raising, then harvesting, thrashing, drying, everything, when they will go to the market yard to sell it, if in the market yard, if there are no proper sheds, and you can see that here, a farmer just he came here to sell in the market, but all of a sudden, if there is a rain, the entire crop, whatever the crop he has grown for 6 months, the entire crop will be lost. And other one is, you can see that the third figure and the last 6 figure also, these are the grains stored in the FCI godowns, but as they are not having the sufficient godown facilities, just they have kept it outside. And as most probably they are not having the tarpaulins, you can see the situation there. And if there is a rain, the entire produce will be wasted. And other one is coming to the rats also. You can see if the storage structure, if you're not having a proper storage structure, or the properly, if you not have closed the doors, all these rats will enter inside and they will damage. And the other one, you can see this is the groundnut kernels, where due to the bruchid, completely all these groundnut kernels have completely damaged. And next you can see that is the how the food losses are occurring. That is the poor understanding of the harvest indices. That if you will take the paddy crop, we have to harvest at 21 to 24%. If you will harvest at a higher moisture content, the grains might not have properly set. And if you are harvesting at less than 21%, there may be shattering losses. And that's why while harvesting, we have to take a lot of care that the moisture content should be 21 to 24%. And the second one is the poor sorting and grading practices. You can see here a tomato, which is completely rotten tomato, along with the tomato in the tomato basket. If at all you are keeping such type of the rotten tomato, the other tomatoes will also be completely spoiled. And the other one is the poor temperature management and lack of control of relative humidity. It leads to the shriveling. You can see here, these are the apples, completely shriveled apples in the market. If at all you want to sell it, you cannot sell these type of the apples. And that's why whenever you are storing it, you have to ensure that all these apples have been stored at a proper relative humidity at the proper temperature. And the poor quality packages, which provide little or no protection during handling, transport, and storage. That is, you can see here, these are the tomatoes. They are kept in a very big container, and where all the tomatoes will be completely compressed. Instead of having this very big size container, if you will have a smaller one, then those tomatoes might not have damage. And other one is the delays in marketing without proper storage. That is, nowadays we are getting a lot of fruits and vegetables. Of what all you are not having a proper cold storage structures, all these fruits and vegetables will be damaged. And the other one is the over sorting, the color, size, shape. Based on the color, size, shape, nowadays we are sorting it. And if at all, say for example, if it is not having a proper color, say for example, if it is a apple, if they are not red in color, if it is not having a proper size, if the shape is not good, then they are not selling it in the market, just they are throwing it out. Like that also, there is a huge loss is there. And the other one is the poor choice of packages with the focus on cosmetic features rather than on strength, ventilation, moisture control. Say this, here you can see these are the apples placed in a container, where the container, it is not having a proper strength, it is not having more strength, and there is no ventilation facility. And if you are keeping it for a longer period, then naturally all these apples will damage. Other one is the long-term cold storage. If you are keeping it for a long term, then what will happen? There will be off flavors will be there. There will be chilling injury and freezer burn. And sometimes what we are doing is we are not at all harvesting the crop because the fruits or vegetables which they may not have appeared to meet the strict quality standards. So here you can see these are the apples. The farmer, he has not at all harvested because those apples might not have maintained the quality standards. And the other one is disposing is cheaper than selling during the glut season. And especially in the case of the tomatoes, we may be seeing all these things. Sometimes the tomato cost is around 200 to 250 per kg, and sometimes it is 1 rupee per kg. And when its cost is very less, it is very difficult for the farmers to harvest and market it. Instead, what they will is they will think that it is better to dispose it because the transportation cost will be very high, and that's why they will dispose it as it is. And the other wastage is that the raw material was wasted during the size reduction operations, especially when we are preparing the chips, potato chips or the French fries. At that time, what we are doing is we are seeing a very big size of the potato, or at the edges, as it is having a smaller size, that smaller size, it will be just thrown away. And like that, we are wasting a lot. And coming to the losses during the various post-harvest operations, you know that there are different post-harvest operations are there, from cutting, handling, manual thrashing, sun drying, open storage, then milling, then retailing. All these during this period, there will be losses will be there from 10 to 30%. And in the case of this transportation also, in the case of the food chain operation, that is raising, starting from the processing up to the marketing. That is, in the case of the processing, we may be having the broken grains. If the paddy will not be having the sufficient moisture content, if it is over dried, what will happen? Completely the grains, there will be a broken will be there. At that time, we have to take a care that it should have the sufficient moisture content while doing this processing operation. And other one is the excessive dehulling and trimming. And what we are doing is sometimes these in the ration shop, some people, they are purchasing this rice. That rice will be having the bold size, and what they are doing is just they are trimming it. That is, they are reducing the size so that it looks like a fine rice, and they can sell it in the market at higher price. If it is the case, what will happen? Whatever the powder that we got it, that entire powder, it will be wasted. Similarly, in the case of the transportation also, if the transport material, truck is not good, in such cases, what will happen? There is a chances of spillage, bruising, breakage, leakage will be there. And the other one is coming to the storage aspect. If you are not having a proper storage structure, there is every chance the insects, molds, bacteria, sprouting, rancidity, over-ripening will take place. And finally, we will get only the unsafe food, and there will be quality losses will be there. Next to the production side, if you see the production of the grains and the fruits or vegetables in India, the food grain production was 316 million tons during 2021-22. Fruits, it was 103 million tons, and vegetables, it was 197 million tons. Coming to the processing operations, the Philippines and Malaysian country, the most of the fruits or vegetables, they are processing it. Nearly 78 to 83% they are processing it. But in India, we are processing only 20%. Because when you are getting a more quantity of the fruits, if you could able to process it, then we can consume it even after 4 or 5 months. Thereby, a lot of loss can be reduced if we are processing it. But we are not doing it in India. Now, coming to the status of post-harvest losses in India, the Central Institute of Post-Harvest Engineering and Technology, they have surveyed and they have published that the losses in the case of the cereals, it was around 3.9 to 6%. Pulses, it was 4.3 to 6.1%. And oil seeds, it was 6%. And fruits and vegetables, it was 5.8 to 18%. And if you see the amount that we are losing due to harvest and post-harvest losses at national level, it was around 92,650 crore per year during 2017-18 data, right? Next, how to minimize these losses? What is the importance of the post-harvest technology? Well, the first one is the minimization of the post-harvest losses, safe storage, value addition of the produces, and the other one is the utilization of the waste and byproducts. And why the losses are so high? The one reason is the double cropping, especially if you see the paddy in our Andhra Pradesh area. There you can see that double cropping, that is one harvest usually falls in the rainy season. During the rain, completely the crop will be drenched, or even if we have harvested the crop, all the grains will be completely spoiled, because at that time there is no, it is not possible for the sun drying, and there are no dryers available, big dryers are not available, and that's why there is a huge loss will be there. Other one is the labor shortage during the harvest period. Say if you take the paddy crop, at least you require the 10 members to 10 to 12 members to harvest the crop. Another 10 to 12 members are required for threshing the crop. But at that time, say for example, in a village, if you want to harvest 10 acres per day, you require at least 10 to 120 members for just harvesting, another 10 to 120, another 100 to 120 members for threshing the crop. It means that at least 200 members are required but so many members are not available. And as a result, there is a delay in the harvesting. Once it is delayed, and if there is a rain, the complete entire crop will be lost. Then how to reduce the post-harvest losses? We can reduce the post-harvest losses by mechanizing the harvesting or by using the modern technologies for drying, storage, and the processing. And here you can see this is the mechanizing of the harvesting. And here in the general, if at all you are using the labor, we require 20 or 24 laborers to harvest and thresh 1 acre of the crop. But if at all you are using a combine, it requires only 1 combine is required, 1 operator is required. Thereby, we can reduce the laborers. And at the same time, it can harvest and thresh at least 10 to 12 acres per day. And the grain losses will also very high, it will be very less if at all you are using a combine when compared to the manual harvesting and the threshing operations. And it avoids the delays, and thereby it minimizes the quality loss. And in the market, these pedal operated paddy threshers are available, very small device. If the farmers are having a very small land, in such cases, they can use this type of a paddy thresher where it can thrash at least 44 kg per hour. And coming to the drying aspect, and whenever there is a rains will be there, the farmers are facing a lot of problem in drying the grains. And if at all you are using this type of the dryers, that is a LSU dryer, it is a Louisiana State University dryer, we can dry the produce very quickly. And for using that energy, what we can use it, we can use that rices, we can burn the rices, and thereby we can minimize the drying cost. Nowadays, some farmers are asking for these mobile paddy dryers. These paddy dryers are also available in the market. Capacity ranging from 2.5 tons per batch to 5 tons per batch. Cost ranging from 10 lakhs to 15 lakhs. And it can reduce the moisture content from 23% initial moisture content to 14% of the moisture content. And it will take 2 hours, 10 minutes per batch. That is lifting the material, drying the material, and unloading the material. All these together, it will take 2 hours, 10 minutes per batch. And it requires nearly 15 liters per hour, but the drying cost will be very high. It is around ₹1.60 per kg wet paddy. The reason is that these dryers will be used and it will be preferred by the farmers only when there are rains will be there. Otherwise, they won't use this type of the dryers. That's why the cost will be very high. And the other one is the bubble type of the dryer. And in the case of this bubble type of the dryer, you can see this is the UV stabilized polythene sheet material. And when here you can have, this is a solar panel, and this solar panel, it receives the solar light, and then electricity will be generated, and whatever the exhaust fans will be there, these fans starts working condition, and it will completely bulged. It is completely bulged, and inside we have to keep the material, whatever the material you want to dry. Say, for example, if you want to dry the grains, you just keep it inside. And as all of you know that if the temperature outside is say around 25 degrees, as we are using this polythene sheet material, inside the temperature will be more, maybe at least 7 to 10 degrees temperatures will be more. Say if it is 25, inside it may be around 32 to 35 degrees temperature. Thereby the drying will be very, very quick. Even if there is a problem of rain, it will not be wetted as it is having a covering material. That is the advantage it is having. And next is the winnower. Most of the time we might have seen that in the villages, the ladies, they will be doing this type of the operation, and they have to stand for a long period, and they have to wait till there is a wind. Instead, if you use this type of the simple winnowers, which cost around 1 lakh rupees or so, they will do an operation of at least 200 to 300 kg per hour. And other one is this mobile rice mill. And here you can see that whenever there is a paddy will be there, and the farmer has to take that material from his village to a nearby town. Instead, now this type of these rice mills are available, whereby hitching it to a tractor, you can carry from one village to the other village, and its cost is around 5.5 lakhs, and its capacity is 5 quintals per hour, and it has to be hitched to a minimum of 45 HP tractor. It will do all the operations, cleaning, then hulling, separation, rice polishing. All these operations will be done by this machine. Next, coming to the groundnuts, and here especially in the Anantapur district and Chittoor, most of the farmers they are raising this groundnut crop, and there also they are facing a lot of problem with the labor. In such case, it is better to go with the threshers, and these threshers are available in two models. One is dry pot thresher, other one is the wet pot thresher. In the case of the dry pot thresher, the haulms have to be dried. Then afterwards, we have to use it. Nearly it requires 5 to 6 laborers are required. Cost is around 4,20,000 rupees, and it will separate nearly 200 to 250 kg of the pods per hour. Next is the wet pot thresher, and here directly after pulling it from the field, directly these can be used. This can be fed into inside this thresher unit, and its cost is around 4.5 lakh, and its capacity is 250 to 300 kg per kg pots per hour, and labor required are 5 members. Next is the groundnut pot stripper. Say if the type of a groundnut pot stripper, where its capacity is only 100 to 150 kg per hour, and labor required are 3, and its cost is around 30 to 40,000 rupees. Now this is a groundnut pod cleaner cum grader, and when the farmer is using threshers, naturally along with that groundnut pods, there is every chance there is a lot of soil particles or the dried leaves. All these things will come, and when he wants to sell it, he has to sell it clean produce, and that's why this type of a groundnut pod cleaner or cum grader can be used. Its cost is 2.5 lakh rupees, and its capacity is 300 kg per hour. And another one is the groundnut pod grader. This was developed at CIPHET, Ludhiana, and here also based on the weight, based on the thickness, and based on the size, it will separate the material. Its cost is around 5 lakh rupees, and its capacity is 650 kg per hour. Now, this is a very simple device, that is a groundnut decorticator, which is required by the farmers. Its cost is only 3,500 to 4,000 rupees, and here it will decorticate the groundnuts. It means finally we'll get the kernels, and its capacity is 30 kg pods per hour. And this is a power operated groundnut decorticator, capacity ranging from 100 to 500 kg per hour capacity are available in the market, and its cost will be ranging from 80,000 to up to 3.5 lakh rupees, and it will process it very quickly, because most of the farmers, that is especially during the sowing period, especially in the case of the groundnut, whenever there will be rains will be there at that time, the farmers want the seed, and in such cases we require the huge quantity of the seed is required. In such cases, this type of the decorticators will help the farmer in sowing. Other one is the sunflower thrasher. You know that the sunflower, it is very, very difficult to thrash it because it will be having a big flower, and generally they will be using the wooden stick and they will be beating it on the hot surface. It is a very tedious process. But if you will have this type of a thrasher, we can process it, we can thrash it nearly 6 to 9 quintals per hour, and it saves labor and the cost of the operation. Other one is the sunflower dehulling mill, and that is if you want to remove that husk, it is a very tedious process, and this type of the machines are available. It was developed at CIPHET, Ludhiana, and it will remove the husk. Nearly 400 to 500 kg of the sunflower seeds will be processed per hour. Other one is the tubular maize sheller. If you want to separate these maize, it is very, very difficult, And in such case, what we have to do is, it is a very simple device. It is having a octagonal shape, and inside there will be a number of blades will be there, 3 or 4 blades will be there. Just what you have to do is, the maize cob, just we have to insert in this particular maize sheller, and when you will rotate it, naturally all these seeds will be separated. Its capacity will be 15 to 20 kg per hour. And this is a rotary maize cob sheller and developed at CIPHET, Ludhiana. And here one gentleman can be sitting, and another man just he has to insert inside, and he has to rotate it. Whenever he will be rotating, all these seeds will be separated. Its capacity will be 65 kg per hour. This is a maize dehusker cum sheller, and it is used for dehusking and shelling of the maize cobs. And capacity will be 16 to 20 quintal per hour, and thrashing efficiency will be 96 to 98%. And it saves labor, and it saves the cost amount also. And coming to this storage, you can see that different silos are different storage structures are available, and silos are available, and the warehouses are available. And in India, most of the time we are storing the grains in these warehouses. And in the warehouses, there are some advantages, some disadvantages. But in the USA and in the Canada, they will be storing the grains in these silos. And of course, in India also, some very big companies, they are storing these grains in this type of the silos. And coming to the advantages, silos, they require a very less area. But whereas in the case of the warehouse, it requires the more area. It requires, silos require only 2 square feet per metric ton. But in the case of the warehouse, it requires 5 to 8 square feet per metric ton. And the storage lifespan is more, but whereas in the case of the warehouse, the storage lifespan is very short. And in the silos, the advantage is that it is having an inbuilt system to protect the grain from bacteria infestation, thereby preventing the losses in the stored grain. But in the case of the warehouses, the losses will be there, at least 2 to 6% losses in the grain stores in the warehouses. And the main advantage is in the case of the silos, they are easy to ship, erect, commission, thereby reducing the downtime. But in the case of the warehouses, it requires the more time for completion. And silos can be provided with inbuilt temperature control system, because when the temperature is very high, we had to send the cool breeze. But in the case of these warehouses, this type of the system we are not having. And in the case of the silos, it requires very, very less labor. But in the case of the warehouses, it requires the more number of labors are required. And this is the hermetic storage system. These are the plastic containers. 5-ton cocoons are available in the market. Like that, 50 kg super bags are also available in the market. The main advantage of these hermetic storage structures are, they are the airtight enclosures, the biological activity, it reduces the oxygen and increases the carbon dioxide. That is the main advantage. And thereby what will happen, the insects, if at all there are insects are there, those insects will be dying or they will become inactive. And this plastic controls the moisture also. That is the main advantage. And here you can see that as the storage days are increasing, the oxygen level starts going down, but whereas the carbon dioxide level increases. That is the main advantage of it. And this is the hermetic storage bag, right? And coming to the millets, all of you know there is the minor millets, and this year 2023 is considered as the International Year of the Millets. And the farmers, they are raising all these crops like finger millet, foxtail millet, little millet, proso millet, boneyard millet, kodo millet, brown top millet. But they're unable to sell it in the markets. The reason is that they are not having the processing machines. And generally, for processing, they will be using either the pounding, they are pounding it either in the mortar or pestle, or beating with the stick for dehulling of the grain. A very tedious process. And for which what we had to do is we had to introduce the machines. where destoner cum grader cum aspirator is available in the market. That is a pre-cleaner unit. Because when the farmer is getting the material, there will be a lot of dust will be there, or some sand particles or some soil particles will be there. All those things have to be removed, for which we have to use the destoner cum grader cum aspirator. Other one is the millet dehuller, grain polisher, destoner cum grader cum aspirator. That is the post-hulling rice separator. All these machines have to be used. And all these 4 machines may be costing around 7.5 lakh rupees or so. And here you can see this is a destoner cum grader for millets. That is a pre-cleaner unit. What it will do is it removes the stones and impurities. Here it will be having a number of meshes will be there, and they will be moving. They're having a to and fro motion, and they will be rotating by using these motors. And its capacity will be around 250 kg per hour, and cost is around 1.25 lakhs. Other one is the dehulling operation. That is the removing of the husk. It is a very, very crucial step, and it all depends on this grain size, grain moisture content, and the grain variety. And in the market, different types of these dehullers are available based on the centrifugal principle, based on the abrasive principle. And in the case of the abrasive, they will be having the emery type or the rubber roller type. And this is a mill. It was developed at CIPHET Bhopal. And here the principle is the abrasion principle. And the capacity is 100 kg per hour. Cost is around 1 lakh rupees. And it will dehull all the small millets like Hostile, Little, Kodo, Proso, and Barnyard millets. And the other one is the dehullers. They are available in the market. This is a single stage dehuller. It means that it will be having only a single drum, where inside it will be an impeller is there. And when you will feed the material, these impellers they will throw the material on the drum with a very high force, that is by using a centrifugal force. And thereby the husk will be separated. And the capacity will be 100 kg per hour, and the cost will be 1.5 lakh. And there, the dehulling may be 70 to 80%. Another some 20 to 30% of the husk will be available. And for which what we have to do is, once again, we have to use it. Instead, you can go with this double stage dehuller, where you can see 2 drums. 2 drums will be there. Inside, 2 impellers will be there. And when you will feed the material, first here, nearly 70 to 80% of the husk will be removed, and the remaining will be removed in the second drum. And the cost will be around 2.5 lakh rupees, and the capacity will be around 300 kg per hour. And the other one is the grain softener or polisher unit. Say if at all you want to polish it, you can use it, because if you want, some people they may prefer the bran, and some people they don't want to have the bran on the rice. In such case, we can use this machine. And there are certain millets like Proso millet, Kodo, Barnyard, and Brown Top. They are having a very, very tough husk, or a more number of layers will be there. In such case, directly we cannot use the double stage dehuller machine. For which what you have to do is, you have to keep these millets for some time, maybe 3 or 4 minutes in this softener unit, where it will be completely, the husk will be loosened. After loosening it only, we have to use the double stage dehuller. And its capacity is 40 kg per hour, and the cost will be around 1 lakh rupees. And finally, this is the post cleaner unit. That is, in the case of the double stage dehuller, what will happen? The rice and the husk is separated, but certain percentage of the husk will also be coming along with the rice. And what we have to do is, now we have to separate the husk, brokens, and the whole rice and the husk separately, for which we have to use this post cleaner unit. And its cost is around 1.35 lakh. And the next is the dal mill. And this is a PKV dal mill, mini dal mill. That is the Punjab Rao Krishi Vishwavidyalaya has developed this mill. And And here its capacity is 100 kg per hour for PGNP and 125 kg per hour for green gram. And you can see this is a drum. Inside this drum, there will be another drum will be there, and there is a gap in between these two drums. And when you are feeding the material, before feeding the material, we have to process it. That is either the wet milling or the dry milling. In the case of the dry milling, 3 ml per kg of the 3 ml of the oil, whether the sunflower oil, any groundnut oil, any oil, it has to be mixed with the 1 kg of this dal. Or in the case afterwards, it has to be dried for a couple of days. In the case of the wet milling, what we have to do is we have to keep the dal inside in the water for overnight. Then afterwards, it has to be drained. Then it has to be dried for 2 or 3 days. And then afterwards, the material has to bring to this dal mill, and we have to use the dal mill for processing it. And what it will do is when the drum starts rotating it, the husk will be separated. And here you can see the material will come to this particular unit where it will be moving, having a to and fro motion. And as it will be having a couple of sieves, the split dal and the whole dal and the husk will be separated. And its cost will be around 1.6 lakh rupees. Other one is a double roller dal mill. There you can see that is only one roller was there, but here we are having a double roller dal mill, double roll, 2 rollers, and its capacity will be very high, nearly 2.5 to 3 tons per day. And the other method is, other one is the drying, especially in the case of the chilies. Our farmers, they will be they will be drying it on the hard surface. If at all you are using a small tarpaulin, what will the main advantage is that it will dry at least 1 or 2 days in advance. And in the case of the traditional method, there is every chance that the soil-borne contamination may take place, but here the soil-borne contamination will not take place, and the drying time will also be reduced. Instead of all these things, we can go with this solar tunnel dryer, right? And here you can see in the case of the solar tunnel dryer, we are using a solar UV stabilized polythene sheet material. The main advantage of the UV stabilized polythene material is that it will block the UV rays. It will block the ultraviolet rays. And as you know that the short wave radiation, when it enters inside, it will become the long wave radiation. The temperature will be increased. Maybe some 7 to 10 degrees temperatures will be increased. And as we have blocked the UV rays, the quality of this particular produce will be very good. You can see that these are the chilies. They're very good red in color. And when you are having a uniform color, naturally the prices will be very high in the market. You can sell it at a higher price. And as the temperature will be very high, you can dry the material in less time. Say if it is only a sun drying method, you require at least 2 weeks, nearly 14 days. But in the case of the solar tunnel dryer, you require only 6 to 7 days. Thereby, 50% of the time can be reduced. Say, for example, if there is all of a sudden, if there is a rain, as you are having this UV stabilized polythene sheet material, it is covered completely. There is no problem of any problem with the rain. And similarly, this solar tunnel drying with the for the onion slices also. Sometimes the onions price is also very high, maybe 100 rupees per kg. Sometimes they are available at 5 rupees or 10 rupees per kg. At that time, when it is available in the market at a very low price, what we can do is we can make it into slices, dry it, then pack it and sell it in the market. Or you can make a powder also and you can sell it in the market. You can keep it for at least 6 months. And you can see this is a drying of the mango pulp in the solar tunnel dryer. If at all you are drying it outside, you won't get this type of the quality product. And a lot of dust will also be added to this product if at all you are drying it outside. But as you are drying it inside the solar tunnel dryer, the quality of the product is very good and there is no dust adhered to it. And this is a drying of groundnut pods in solar tunnel dryer. We are drying it in our RARS Tirupati. And especially during October, that is the Kharif harvested crop, it will be in the month of the October or November. Exactly at that time, there will be heavy rain will be there. If you are keeping these pots outside, what will happen? They will be completely drenched in the water with the rain. A lot of moisture will be added. A lot of fungus will be developed, which is not good for health. And that's why you can use this type of this dryer for drying of these any produce. And next is the packaging. Nowadays, you might have seen that tomatoes, when it has the prices have been escalated like anything around 250 per kg. In such cases, we had to pack properly, like apples. This was developed at TNAU, Coimbatore. This is the corrugated cotton boxes where each tomato will be kept in a cell, and thereby there won't be any damage. Generally, the farmers, they will be sending through the bamboo baskets. In such cases, the losses will be very high, around 25 to 30%. But here the losses will be very, very less. But of course, you have to meet the packing cost, nearly 2.25 per kg. And the other one is the osmotic dehydration. Sometimes these bananas are also available abundantly, but you cannot consume all the bananas at a time, and it will be wasted. In such case, what you can do is you can do the osmotic treatment. You can keep it for a time, for a longer period. Say, what you can do is cut it into small slices, keep it in the sugar syrup, then afterwards dry it. After drying it, you can use either the cabinet drying or the vacuum drying, then pack it. You can keep for a longer period, and they can be used as a snack item, and we can give it to our small kids. And you can see the quality of these produce by vacuum dried, osmotic dried, and osmo vacuum dried. And similarly, the guava bark can also be prepared by osmotic dehydration technique. Other one is the guava beverage, intermediate moisture foods we can prepare. And this is the amla beverage and osmotically dehydrated amla, you can have it. And the amla powder, amla toffees. And other one is the tomato paste, for which what you have to do is, say, if at all you are taking the 100 kgs of the tomatoes, you have to do the pulping. When you will pulp it, you will get around 90 kg of the pulp. And when you will evaporate it, nearly 70 kg, 76 kg of the water will be evaporated, and we will be getting around 14 kg of the tomato paste. And at that time, it will be having 25 degrees of the peak. You cool it. After cooling it, we have to add certain preservatives. After adding the preservative, you can pack it and store it. And this paste, we can use it. And this is the tomato pulper, and its capacity is 100 kg per hour, and its cost is around 90,000 rupees, and the pulping efficiency is 90%. And here you can see this is the tomato paste having a 25-degree bricks. It could be stored either in the aluminum pouches, glass bottles, or LDPE bags for a period of nearly 4 months. Whenever the cost will be very high, whenever the cost is very low, at that time we can prepare this type of tomato paste, keep it for a longer period, and when the prices are very high, at that time we can purchase it. Another one is the shrink wrapping for the fruits and vegetable. You can see that if it is unwrapped, either the tomato or the capsicum, you can keep the tomatoes for nearly 1 week to 10 days, and the capsicum for 4 days. If it is a shrink wrapping, it means that is the plastic sheet. It is completely wrapped for individual fruit or vegetable. If it is a shrink wrapping, you can keep it for 19 days in the case of the tomato, and the capsicum, you can keep it for 25 days. That is under normal ambient condition. If you are keeping it in the cold storage, it can be enhanced to 39 days and 46 days in the case of the tomatoes and capsicum. And thereby, we can reduce all these post-harvest losses. And this is the shrink wrapping of the apples. And we can increase the shelf life by 7 to 10 days. And the other one is the modified atmosphere storage. you know that in the ambient air, we will be having oxygen of 21% and the nitrogen of 79%. In the case of the modified atmosphere packing, what we are doing is we are reducing the oxygen content to 3% and we are increasing the nitrogen content to 92% and the carbon dioxide to 5%. When you are keeping the material in this modified atmosphere packing, we can keep the fruits or vegetables for a longer period. And thereby we can reduce the post-harvest losses. And you can see here, these are the tomatoes. This was experimented conducted during the PhD work. And you can see this is the tomatoes. This is the first day of the tomatoes. That is immediately after harvesting. And you can see this is the 30th day, 45th day, and 60th day of the tomatoes. It means that in the case of the modified atmosphere packing, we can keep the tomatoes at least for 2 months intact. And this is the modified atmosphere technology that was used for the okra and the beetle leaves. And the shelf life has been extended to 9 days in the case of the okra and 13 days in the case of the beetle leaf. And this is a banana comb cutter developed at the CIPHET, Ludhiana. And you know that whenever the shop fellow is cutting the bananas, definitely 1 or 2 bananas will not be cut properly, and there is a damage will be there. And this damage can be eliminated if at all we are using this type of this comb cutter. You can see that it is having a curvature. As it is having a curvature to the equivalent to the diameter of this trunk, what will happen whenever you are cutting it equally, it will cut and there won't be any damage. And this is a pomegranate Aril extraction unit, especially at Vijayawada. What they are doing is, though you may be having this pomegranate, it is very difficult to cut and separate the arils. That is the main problem. And what they are doing is they have engaged. This is an industry where they have engaged a number of laborers to separate all these arils, pack it, and send it to the Gulf countries. And for which these are the small gadgets. This is a pomegranate aril extractor gadget, where you can see there is a number of blades will be there. Just in between these gadgets, the center, you have to keep this pomegranate and rotate these 2 gadgets in the one clockwise, another anti-clockwise direction. They will break and all these arils will be separated. But of course, in this, there is a small damage will be there, and it will take more time also. Instead, the CIPHET Ludhiana have developed this a big unit, the power operated unit. The capacity is 500 kg per hour, and the damage is only 1 to 2%. And thereby we can get this pomegranate arils package in the control condition and sell it at a higher prices. And this is a zero energy cool chamber. And say the farmers or the fruit vendors, if they are not having any storage facilities like cold storage units, they can go with these simple devices. And this is a zero energy cool chamber. These are you can see there are 2 walls will be there. 2 walls, and it will be constructed by using the brick. And there should not be any plastering. And in between those 2 brick walls, sand has to be poured, and the water has to be circulated. And you can see here, this is a tank. Through this tank, a pipeline is available here with having a number of holes, and it is connected to this tank, and the water will be flowing drop by drop. The water will be flowing through this sand. And the main principle here is that during the summer period, when a hot air comes and contacts this particular wall, whatever there will be small pore space will be there, and the air passes through, and whatever the moisture is available here at the sand, and all this moisture, it will be evaporated, and thereby the temperature inside, it will be cooled at least from 5 to 10 degrees temperature. And inside you can keep fruits and vegetables. And here you can see the different fruits and vegetables kept in all these. This is the room temperature. You can see this is spinach kept at the room temperature, and the cool chamber, which I told just now, and this is the refrigerated condition. Almost the refrigerated condition and the cool chamber, the one stored in the cool chamber, almost both are having a good color and the texture. And similarly, you can see these are the banana kept in the cool store, cool chamber, and the room temperature. You can see that both in the cool chamber and the cool store, both are looking similar. And that's why this is a simple device where we can have, where the farmers or the vendors, they can have it and they can keep all these fruits and vegetables and store it for a longer period and reduce the losses. And this is a CIPHET tomato grader. And whenever you want to grade the bigger size, smaller size, and this is a very simple device, having a number of pipes are there, and the distance in between one pipe to the other pipe on the top, it will be less. And as it progresses downwards, the gap will be very high. And thereby, we can get n number of grades, right? And its cost will be also very, very less. And you can separate at least 3 or 4 grades and sell in the market. And this is the tomato seed extractor unit developed at Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Coimbatore. And whenever you want to have the seeds, it is a very tough job, either with the brinjal or with the tomatoes. And here, if you are feeding it inside, there is a unit which it rotates and it cuts all those tomatoes, and the tomato pulp will be separated and the seed will be separated. And this is a brinjal seed extractor. And here also the same thing, when you will feed the brinjals inside, it cuts the brinjal, it passes, and here you can see a very big drum will be there, and it will be having the water, and the brinjal seed along with that pulp, it will come inside. As the seed will be having more dense, it will be available at the bottom side, but whereas the pulp, as it is a light in weight, it will float, and we can separate the brinjal seed also. And its cost is around maybe around 1 lakh rupees now. And this is a 10 chili seed extractor. And for the separation of these seed also from the chilies, this is a unit where you can separate it. Inside, if you see, there are a number of beaters are available. When the material is fed inside, the beater will be rotated by using this motor, and the beater breaks the chilies, and the seed will be separated. And this is a drying of the fruits and vegetables in a solar dryer. Earlier, I told about a very big unit, that is a solar tunnel dryer with a polycarbonate material or a polythene sheet material. And this is a smaller one, and where they have used this. This is a glass sheet, and there is a solar panel is available. And the solar panel, when it receives the light intensity, it generates the electricity, and there are 3 fans are there. Okay, 3 exhaust fans are there. And whatever the things you want to dry it, all these fruits or vegetables cut into slices, okay, put inside, and inside the temperature will be very high. And as I told earlier, outside if it is 30, inside it may be around 37 or 40 degrees temperatures, and there are a lot of dust will not be accumulated because you are keeping it outside. And as it is a closed container, as the temperature is very high, it will be drying, will take place very quickly. It is a very clean product, dried product, we will get it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session. So now I request the participants, if you have any queries, please unmute yourself or put in the chat box. All the participants are requested, please, if you have any doubts regarding the post-harvest technologies, please unmute yourself and ask with our expert, Dr. Kalimullah, sir. Otherwise, you can put it in the chat box also.
So if there are no questions from anyone, so we'll be winding up the session. So I'd like to thank Krishna sir for providing such a valuable information about the various machineries, dryers, mills, and threshers with their uses. Actually, if the farmers, and moreover, it will be very much helpful for the farmers in fast tracking their work and reducing the post-harvest losses if they implement it on time. And also it might result in saving the cost and time for the farmers as well. So I thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful session. So, and dear participants, if there are any questions, you can even contact us directly to the research center or to the Agro Potion Incubator if there are any doubts or to be clarified. You are most welcome to get it clarified. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I am closing the meeting, sir.
Okay, close this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.